Hello. Hey, everybody. Jeff Copeland here with Copeland Coins. And I see we got a few people here. And thank you. You know what? I just like starting this live stream when we got great comments like this. So what's up, Dream Upright? That is awesome. And we got Kato. Hey, guys, at the positive energy start. Woohoo! Yes. Every time. Let's have some positive energy going on. And so I see some good stuff here. I heard Matthew says that we didn't get an email out, and that is probably my fault. I'm going to get right into the topic here. But Caleb, as you can see, is absent. That means I'm pulling the levers. Rick is absent. You guys got me here today. So I said if it was just me, if I could just handle a chat and just get something going on with you guys, what would be the topic that I could share with you guys? And so I said, how about what's going on in my life right now? And I think what's going on in my life right now, the good and the bad and the ugly, everything, all the above, well, it relates to magic performance because magic to me is magic is part of our life. Magic is life. Magic is part of life. Magic is an art form that we cherish. And so I'm just going to kind of jump in. And the topic presented today is connection, connecting to an audience, connecting specifically to your audience. And I think it's just connection in life. It's just getting to know people and how we treat people so that they are interested in what we've got going on and why they would want to view, why they would want to be a part of our life and things that are going on. And so the word that comes to mind is my word of the year, my personal word of the year. I think at the beginning of the year, I shared with you guys, I have this grand goal of reading 52 books this year. And I haven't counted up, but I'm somewhat on track. I'm not too far behind. If not, I count just to meet that goal. I count every 4 to 5 podcasts as a book because I figure that's about the length of an audio book. But I'm doing a lot of personal work, specifically most of the books I'm reading around the word empathy. And so if we understand empathy, I think we have a greater opportunity to connect with our audience, to make a personal connection, to make a lasting impression, a chance to be human, And empathy, if you guys don't know, empathy is all about, when we talk about being empathetic to somebody or sympathetic to someone, we think about that's like connecting to them, that's recognizing their emotions so that they will feel safe in a connection back with us. And that is a huge part of it. That is definitely no question. That is a huge part, a substantial part of empathy is connecting and feeling what the other person feels. But the first step to empathy, the very first step to empathy, and this is what I tried to hint a little bit. If you got the email, I just launched it a couple minutes before the live stream. The first part, maybe the most difficult part, is looking inside to your own heart, to your own mind, and getting in touch with your own emotions. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the point is, if you can't feel, if you don't know what's going on in your own mind, if you can't relate to those emotions personally, if you can't feel it here, and here, right? Here in your gut, and your heart, mind, and soul on all levels, then when somebody else is experiencing happiness, sadness, joy, it can be any of the top emotions, anger. If you can't relate to that yourself, then in your own emotions, then how can you relate it to what somebody else is going on? What else is going on in somebody else's mind? Is that making sense? And so that connection to your audience, the word that I've been living with all year, and trust me, I have not got this right. You can ask my wife, ask my children, my friends. This is a constant journey. It is a battle. It is a desire for the rest of my life to get in touch with what's going on inside of me, to know myself, to know my own feelings, so that when somebody else has those experiences, well, then I can relate to them. So how does that relate to magic? Well, first off, I imagine, because I know some people that watch these videos, I know a lot of our customers, we communicate through email, through Facebook, social media. We see you guys at the conventions. I know that a lot of the fans, a lot of the supporters, the people that back and make Copeland Coins happen, I know that you guys have been in magic for a while. Now, granted, we've got some fresh, brand new folks that have just joined and that started with us at Copeland Coins, and that is awesome. That is amazing. We thank you. We're glad you're here. But we've got a lot of guys that have been in magic for a while, and they've appreciated the quality, the goods that we have developed and the teaching style that we take this very serious. And those folks, they've got some experience under their belt. And so what I would like you to do is, whether you're a new person or you've been in magic for a few years, is to think back to how you first experienced magic. Was that as a child? Like the first time maybe a magician called you up on stage and you knew at that moment you wanted to give that experience to the other person, to the other people around you. Or maybe as an adult, you found magic later in life and you found it interesting as a puzzle or an icebreaker or some way to communicate to people. But that first time you did a trick, can you remember the emotion that you got as a magician, or the first time the trick was performed for you, the emotion that you felt when it was just mind-numbing, no explanation, just blown away by just incredible magic, and you just have that energy, or that lack of energy, that explanation or lack of explanation, that just your mind's bouncing around all different directions and you just experience it. That's the kind of emotion that I want us all to get in touch with as we go out, because if we can experience that, then we can relate to our audience, because they're experiencing that every time, right? If we're doing it right, every time we go out to an audience member, remember, most people, we say this all the time, they are fortunate to see one magician a year, right? Particularly live. Maybe once every 2 or 3 years, they might see a magician live, right? They might stumble into a restaurant that has a performer, or a hotel. They might, on a whim, buy a ticket to a local show or a Broadway theaters type show that's coming through town. They might go to a carnival or a festival and there happens to be a magician, right? But in general, the general population is not consuming magic like you and I, right? They're not consuming magic nightly. No, they're watching Netflix. They're experiencing something else for their form of entertainment weekly. Maybe it's sports, right? Constantly sports, week after week, day after day, there's games. Or maybe they're getting their entertainment from a TV show that they're binge watching. But as far as like experiencing in the hand magic, where it goes to the audience, that's a rare thing, right? So if you channel into that, and if you can remember yourself, how you felt the first times, how you experienced the very first time, and you can recreate that over and over again, night after night, I tell you what, that's what the pros understand. That's what the performers that are out there getting there and getting their name out there, the ones that are excelling, that are making the next step. That's the kind of understanding they have. And I tell you, I kind of there's a lady, I would love to have her on the live stream someday. I need to send her an invitation. She taught a course that I got on audible.com, which is an Amazon company for Audible books. And it's not really a book, it's more of a course, but it was the Art of Empathy by Karen McLaren. And I listened to this course. I finished it at the beginning of this year. It's actually one of my 52 books. I count that as a book, as a kind of a longer course. And she talked about who are the most empathetic people by nature. And this is, again, her perspective. She's an outside therapist, and actually she's a really interesting lady. She started off as a psychic. She grew up as a child in the 70s in California. And so being a natural, she's the lady who supposedly coined the term empath, if you ever heard that. Being a natural empath as a child in the 70s in California, Northern California, her parents naturally thought she was psychic. And so they try to explore this. And she grows up thinking that she has these incredible abilities to read minds. But as she got older, she realized, well, it was just that she was naturally good at empathy. And through that, she's since gone away from the supernatural realm, and she teaches people how to understand their empathetic emotions. And I think it's quite brilliant. It's a great story. And I instantly related to her when I read that. I was like, I want to listen to what this lady has to say. And she mentions that our most natural empaths, and again, she's in California still, I believe, so she's around people like this, are our entertainers, our magicians, our artists, our actors. Why? Because the people that are in that situation naturally understand how to communicate, how to perform, how to be likable on stage, on screen, right? But I'll say this, and I mentioned this about the pros, her experience as a non-performer herself, and I don't know, maybe she has some hobbies and maybe she performs, or her experience is more at the professional level, right? And a lot of us, if we're watching here today, let's be honest, we're more on the amateur level, or we're not on stage every day, and we're not out there night after night, multiple shows a night in Las Vegas, or sitcoms and things like that. So we're not maybe quite on that level. So we need to emulate, we need to get in touch with what the people that are successful, what they're doing, and start emulating that more and more in our magic. Now, again, that's not to criticize anybody. That's not to knock us down or make us feel bad. It's just to say, hey, here's a reality. Let's check into it. And how can we advance the art of magic and make more and more people love magic? And you can see what's been well with it. Now, America's Got Talent and these TV shows that have been out with talent shows have done good and bad for magic, right? Sometimes they want the magician to come on and fail, right? And it's like watching a NASCAR race. You guys ever watch car races? A lot of people, they watch car races. Why? For the accidents, for the mistakes. They just want to see something blow up, right? And so America's Got Talent, which I believe is not a true talent show, they have capitalized on this, right? In the first episodes, they wait for somebody to blow up, to mess up big and laugh at them and point fingers and say how untalented you are. Now, that in contrast versus like Penn and Teller, who do extreme beforehand auditions and only want people to succeed. There's a real talent show, right? They only want the magicians to come on to be at their best, and they want them to succeed. They want to see it, and it's a lot more empathy towards the performers, right? And so what I'm going with that is that we want to try to be in touch with that and gather and learn from that. I got a little bit off on a tangent there, but we want to try to learn what the pros know, what the people that are succeeding know. And sometimes it's just, the pros don't have it all figured out, right? They have little bits, and we can glean that from our favorite performers, what can be best suit us and how we can excel the best. So get some comments in here. Remember, it's just me here today, guys, but Illusion Stay says, hi, Jeff. Great topic. I always believe when I perform, I'm a conversation enhancer first and performer second. I love that. A conversation enhancer. Wow, look at that. So it sounds like for Illusion Stay here that it's not all about him, that it's about getting the conversation going, the community. I love it. Let's see. We got something here from Kaito. Emotional hook is very important. If the audience connected with you, everything you do will be much more meaningful to them. Yes, I love it. I love it. We've got it here. We got some great ideas and comments coming here. You guys are capturing hold of this essence. And I tell you what happens more often than not, it's really easy to overlook this. Even if we're going out there, you can have a bad day and things like that. But it's those kind of thoughts, that kind of process of being in touch with yourself, doing the hard work. And for me, that hard work looks like reading lots of books so I can get other people influencing me. For me, it means waking up most mornings, not every morning. It's been a tough month, let me tell you, but most mornings at 5:30 for prayer and meditation and early reading. That's what it looks like for me, so I can get in touch with my core values. And of my core values that I want to implement every single day, one of those 4 is, yeah, you guessed it, empathy, right? A word of my year, something that I'm really working on, that I can be more empathetic in touch and in tune with those around me. And what I'm not talking about is emotion contagion. This is something Karen McLaren talks about. Emotion contagion is the idea of what everybody else feels, then you catch it like it's a virus, right? Somebody else is feeling sad, then you have to feel sad back. And then it becomes about you. Oh, I'm also sad. Now, empathy is being content of where you are. And when you see somebody who's sad or happy, that you don't have to catch their exact bug. Now, sometimes there's positive emotions, positive community emotions like happiness, and those are socially acceptable to be contagious, and that's a good vibe, and that's a good party, right? But if you can, particularly if you can exude that as a performer, and you can present happiness and joy, then it's going to be a good show, right? And that's part of entertainment. We want to create those emotions. Usually, sometimes we want to create different emotions, right? There are spooky shows, and there are bizarre shows, and there are shows that maybe even try to create a little bit of fear and mystery. And so you got to know what you're doing as a performer. And again, we could go off on tangents, but the idea is that it's about being in control of who you are as a performer, checking yourself in before the show. If that's 5 minutes off stage, backstage, where you say, you know what, I'm not going to be out there. I'm going to be in the green room, or I'm going to be, if I'm at a hotel, I'm going to go find a stall in the bathroom. And I'm just going to get to myself and focus. What are my core values? What do I want to perform today? Who do I want to be? And you know what? That's the hard work. That's the extra work that has to happen in order to get there to that next level that your audience will really connect with you. So I want to share something This is good here. I'll get Scott's comment here. This is very good. I just picked up on this. I glanced over. Scott says, empathy seems a lot like knowing your angles, how to perform according to the viewer's perspective, not your own. Wow. Scott, that is a deep thought there. And we're going to meditate. We're going to think on that. I like that. I'd love to, I'm going to just keep that up there for a second, but I'm going to think about that and see how that really relates, because it is, because knowing empathy or being empathetic is about knowing your emotional, your mental blind spots. And so your angles and performance, your physical blind spots. Well, what if we know our mental blind spots? Oh man, that's really good here. Matthew made a comment here. I'm getting connection through small, intimate trick performances. I made a friend for life today. That's awesome. Awesome, Matthew. When I showed the bent quarter trick and had a second one ready when she screamed, "Do it again." All right, that's awesome, man. That's really good. You were ready, you prepared, made a friend for life. How powerful is that? So getting some feedback here for Scott's comment there, and yeah, Scott as well. So thank you, Scott, for sharing that. So I want to share something that I did, and this was a huge step for me. And I don't know, you might see me blinking a lot and my eyes close a little bit more. Yesterday, though I'm seeing great now, yesterday I had LASIK surgery. This was a huge deal for me because you guys see maybe every once in a while on the live stream I wear glasses. Performance, hardly ever wore glasses. And how this relates is this is some personal development for me. Now, I had a mentor, a good mentor, an excellent mentor who early on in life told me when he got on stage, he took off his glasses so that he have a better show. And you know what I did? When I got on stage, I was ready to perform. Performance Jeff took off his glasses and he was ready to perform. Now, why did I do that? The reason is really simple. It's a really simple explanation. I kind of discovered this on my own. My mentor helped me a little bit, and I've seen some top Vegas professionals who do this to this day. And this is not, what I'm about to say is not a knock to anybody that does this. This is just where I'm at in my development, and take it for what it's worth. By taking off my glasses on stage, what that allowed me to do, and this is a good thing, mind you, was to hone in on all the other senses. Right. So the eye, just for the audience, the eye for the magician can be misdirecting. So what would happen is if I get up there and the audience isn't having a good show, or the audience isn't quite in tune with me yet, or I miss a joke, if I look out there and make eye contact with somebody, clear eye contact, and they're not smiling, "That's not funny, Mr. Magician," and they're giving me this look like that, what happens to my confidence? Oh no, they don't like me. Something's wrong. Wait, that didn't work. I better not mess up the next one. Let me focus extra. Oh, now I messed up. Oh, no, now it's all falling apart. No, now it's contagious, right? So when I took off my glasses, now I don't see that spectator. I couldn't see past the first or second row, and everything's kind of blurry. It just kind of blurred out just a little bit. So what does that do? That allows me to hyper focus in on my performance. I focus in on just the laughter and applause. And all these facial cues that are coming at me that may be true or may not be true, I don't know what that person's thinking. I was able to tune that out by taking away my vision. So I can't get misdirected by the audience. Brilliant, right? Now, let me tell you, that's a great thing. And it's a great tool. And for the longest time, I used that. For me, at this stage of my life, 40-year-old Jeff, I found that was my timer going off to remind me to put in my drops for my LASIK surgery. I've got to put my eye drops in, which I will in just a few minutes. I found that became a little bit of a crutch for connecting with my audience. Matter of fact, in my older years, more often than not, I would put on my glasses to perform. And the reason being was I found out I was missing out. I was missing out on the opportunity to connect with my audience. And you know what? If somebody's not enjoying my performance, I can look the other way. Or I can say, you know what? Maybe it's not their day. Maybe it's not about me. Maybe I don't need emotion contagion with that person. Maybe I can be content in my core values and see that person. Maybe they're just having a bad day, man. Maybe that person just came here and he had an argument with his wife on the drive over. Maybe he had a hard day at work and he doesn't know how to let go of the tension his boss was holding over him. And he's just still frazzled. And on the inside, he's like, hey, that guy's pretty good. He's making me laugh, but he just can't let go of that argument he had with his kid, or that maybe he just lost a loved one. Maybe something's going on that I don't know about. And as an entertainer, I just honestly, truthfully, I can't relate to 100 people in the audience all at once. I don't know what's going on. But now, with corrective vision or with the ability to perform with my glasses, when I see that person, I see that person now. And I see them as a human being. In my faith base, I see them as a created child of God. I see them as somebody with value. And I don't want to be blind to that. I want to be connected to that. And I want to have the most clear vision around that. And so for me, it was a tough decision to get LASIK because I knew what I'd be taking away. I knew I'd be taking away that advantage, which was a very tactical weapon in my toolbox for years to get me on stage, to have confidence, to disconnect, disassociate in just that one way from my audience. Again, I can see up close. So if I have somebody on stage, I could always see and talk to them. It's just my distance. But I lost one of my tools in my toolkit, but I think I gained a new one. I think I gained a better one that's going to help me connect with my audience. And again, that was a bold decision. It was a huge decision, and time will tell, right? If I got it all right, and there's definitely going to be some adjustments more and more. But for me, I'm super happy. I'm seeing at least 2020 now, feeling great about it. And I like that opportunity to connect with people. And I think I'll be able to connect with my audience better. Excuse me here. Maybe getting a little emotional about this, but I'm just excited about it. And so what I would challenge you to do is when you go out and perform, one, we preach it all the time, be practiced enough that you know your routines inside and out. You can watch previous live streams. You can watch or read the Dave notes in any of our videos. We'll give you practice ideas galore. We are no short at Copeland Coins of giving you guys ideas of how to practice and get your magic to the cleanest possible level. So get there, get proficient. And that may mean you hone down on one or two effects and really work on those skill sets of those effects, or find things that use similar mechanics so that you can duplicate throughout and you can get good and proficient. But then spend that other time figuring out how you're going to connect with your audience so that when you're performing, you can listen to them, right? You can touch them, you can connect with them clearly and see clearly what's going on. Because you know what? It's not your responsibility to fix everyone, right? You're not capable, right? You're not capable of making every single person happy 24/7, right? But you have a responsibility of yourself to do the best you can, right? Right now, I'm coaching Little League Baseball. My son's 5 years old. And so I have a team of 4 and 5-year-olds playing baseball. Now, just comprehend this here. 4 and 5-year-olds can barely even catch a baseball, if even. They can barely throw a baseball. They can't throw a baseball across the field. Yet they're playing a sport that demands all these skill sets from them that they haven't developed yet, right? But you know what? We're teaching them and we're working with them day by day, and we're being empathetic with them, understanding that they can only do what they can do, knowing that years down the road they will develop these skills, and knowing that 99.9% of them will never play. Well, in my neighborhood, they probably won't even play. 99% of them won't play high school ball. It's very competitive here, but 99.9% of them will never play Division I college ball or professional sports. We know that going in, right? But we're giving them the skill sets in life. And so they are developing, that they are learning how to be team players, how to have healthy competition, how to be kind to their teammates, how to be kind to their opponents. And we're learning these life lessons step at a time. And we know that day by day, if we instill the same exact things time and time again, repetition after repetition, that they'll develop these things. And so we're working on the skill set. The baseball is hitting and catching, right? We're working on that, but we're also working on the character development so that we can show love and kindness and that we can make the world a better place. And so I say that to myself because I'm working on it daily. I have to work on it daily. It's not something I can let the foot off the gas, right? I was reminded of a beautiful illustration. I was reading a great book by Rabbi, I can't think of his name the other day, but it was actually an economic book. It's a book on business. And he said, what is the cause of an airplane crash? He says, if an airplane crashes over, is flying, I think he may have even mentioned a famous crash over Florida where this airplane crashed. And say, why did the airplane crash? And everybody's asking this question. Why did the airplane crash? Well, the answer is simple, right? You probably know it. Think about it. Why did the airplane crash? gravity, right? The airplane crashed because of gravity. That's what airplanes do. They naturally crash. The natural state for an airplane is to be sitting on the ground, not moving, right? That's the natural state. Putting it in the air, that's the near scientific miracle of just modern science understanding like how to create a combustion engine that turns fuel into thrust and gets this airplane up in the air, right? And so the better question is, why did the airplane not crash? Why did the airplane not crash? Why was it able to fly in the first place? And the reason being is because of momentum, because of thrust, because of continual work and effort. And that airplane cannot take off unless the pilot is giving it fuel and he's pushing it forward. And the entire time it's flying, it has to have fuel and it has to have momentum and it's constantly got to go, 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 go. It can't afford to pause or it will, well, gravity will take over, right? And so that's the same thing with our personal lives. And that doesn't mean that the airplane never lands and never takes a break to stop and refuel. And that's got to be an important part of your life. But rest and whatnot is for another topic. But keep that in mind when you're seeking after these things. You've got to constantly give it fuel. You've got to constantly work on effort. And when you see something, when you make a mistake, you learn from it and you change trajectory, right? We're not talking about something that has to be so precise as an airplane that it's either flying or crashing, right? We're talking about life here. We're talking about day at a time, step at a time, and just learning about yourself so that you can relate better with your audience. And so I share this stuff with you because I've talked with enough brilliant people. I've spent enough time with counselors, with therapists. I've spent enough time with customers, with you guys who are watching now, and I want to listen. And I say this to myself because, as the saying goes, if you spot it, you got it. And I spot this in my own life. I spot this in other people's life because it's something I deal with myself. How do I relate to people? And so I'm willing to make those commitments and those challenges to you guys as friends and supporters to Copeland Coins, as magicians, as people who want to see art succeed. And so I just challenge you guys to think about how you can be empathetic to yourself, empathetic to others. And if that means you pick up a good book or you ask people to help you identify your blind spots, that you find a good partner who also wants to be on this journey with you, and you ask those tough questions, and that you're committed to really learning how to connect with people around you. Because let's face it, it's a lost art. There's a lot of missing pieces in that today. And I'll share with this final story. I messed something up the other day on Facebook. I really messed something up. I learned from it. I responded to something that I didn't even realize was political. It was a story that I had been following in the news. This story probably started back in November, and somebody posted something just from my perspective was very judgmental towards a certain individual that's in the news cycle. And so I asked a question. I literally started the line. I said, "I'm curious." Right? I thought that was an empathetic way to start it. I thought that was a communicating way. "I'm curious. How do you know what you posted here is true?" I mean, that was the, without getting into the details. That was my, and the person came back to and said, "You're missing the point. It's this, that, and the other, and this person's evil. This, that, you're missing the point." And so I responded back again. I said, "No, I said, I'm curious. Like, how do you know this? Like, you're throwing all this judgment on me and saying this. I just want to know how you know this, because I have looked for the answer. I've looked multiple times for the answer because this is a story that matters to me. I want to know the truth. I like this individual. I want to like this individual. How do you know what you're saying is true?" Comes back again. "You're obviously, we know where you stand on this issue because you wouldn't ask this question this way." And I mean, and I'm reading this tone into it, but I promise you the tone was there, because after I responded again, I said, "Listen, I'm curious." And I missed it here. I said, all this anger and argument, and I typed this stuff out publicly to my shame. I said, "All this stuff is on you, man. Like, I just want to know the answer to the question." And so then he takes it direct message, and then I'm getting direct message, the same thing. And I was like, "Listen, I started the question with curious, like, what is going on here?" Comes down the direct message. The guy says, "Listen," he said, we haven't talked in years. I don't even know the last time I talked to this guy. It popped up in my algorithm feed. And the reason being is because because I've searched the answer for this question, I'm assuming the algorithm said, "Oh, Jeff would probably like to know this story," because this is somebody I hadn't talked to, I haven't seen on social media in years and years. I'm talking about years. And he's just like, "You haven't seen," and he types back to me, "You haven't seen me in years. Why didn't you just ask, hey, how are you doing?" And I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that. I just want to know a question. I didn't realize, from my perspective, again, I'm probably sounding very defensive here. I didn't realize Facebook was that formal that I need to say, "Hey, how you doing?" and then ask the question. But it just came down to that. Had I just asked, "Hey, how you doing?" Put that out there first. Been empathetic. Maybe this guy's got something going on. Obviously, I feel like there's something going on there that I'm unaware of. And I didn't ask him, "Hey, how are you doing?" I didn't relate. And so I missed it. I missed the opportunity to be empathetic. And from that, I felt whatever I felt. He felt whatever he felt. And it went nowhere. The question never got answered. We didn't get anywhere. And so I just say that again, like I said, you spot it, you got it. I spot in my own life. I need more empathy. I need to be aware of what other people are feeling. I need to be aware of how to communicate and connect with people. And so I just challenge you, do that with your audience as well. If you've got a difficult person, if you work outside of magic, you've got a problem email coming in or a complaint, if you've got something coming back about what you're doing, step aside. Remember what it feels like when you're in that situation. Get in touch with your emotions. Say, what would help me with this? How can I help this person have a better experience? And then ask the questions and seek to honor and respect them. So I hope that's meaningful for you guys. We've got a couple of comments here. Matthew, thank you so much for being active here today. And thank you. I hope you guys, this was meaningful, me trying to be a little bit vulnerable with you guys, and that it didn't confuse anybody. If you have any need you can always reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'm happy to answer them. Reach out to us on the website. But thanks, Ian. Appreciate that. And Matthew, thank you so much for the likes. Appreciate you guys. So I'm going to close out here. We're at 30 minutes, but that's a challenge. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope you guys will enjoy the brand. I just close out. We've got some great stuff coming for you at the end of the month. Stay tuned to Copeland Coins. We've got some great stuff coming soon throughout the summer. And we've been kind of quiet here recently, except for the Rick lecture. That's why. Great stuff coming. I love you all. God bless you. Go out and make beautiful magic.